It's a pretty big cross behind me there.
It fits.
My name's Beau. I'm an addict. And I'm really grateful to be clean and serene in the meeting of Narcotics Anonymous. Yeah. And to be asked to share tonight, too. Let's see. This is here we are on page 85. It says, being honest about our feelings helps others to identify with us. We find that when we communicate honestly, we reach others. Honesty takes practice, and none of us claims to be perfect. When we feel trapped or pressured, it takes great spiritual and emotional strength to be honest. Sharing with others keeps us from feeling isolated and alone. This process is a creative action of the Spirit. And being asked to share, I feel really good tonight. I feel really good about being here. I feel really good about being in a meeting of Narcotics Anonymous. There was a period of time there just recently when I couldn't be at a meeting. I mean, I could be at a meeting, but I couldn't be in a meeting, and feel good about being around other addicts and seeing them in person, face to face, and kind of feeling where they're at, and having the awareness about feeling about where they're at, and then having it be reflective and about where I'm at, and like kind of understanding myself a little bit more, and the power being asked to share is like something real special, and it's like who wants to hear what I have to say, and I think about that a lot, because sharing, I go through all this stuff when I'm asked to share. And for like weeks, and then Sharm always, keeping me to task, Sharm is like, we're colleagues at work too, and we have this wonderful relationship, and she is so task oriented. It's like, and then me, like, I'm really like not task oriented. I have all these like concepts about what it's going to be like. I live like in this concept world. And then Sharm's like, hey, speaker meeting tonight. Don't forget, And anyway, so that's probably why we get along so well, and work so well together too, But I went through all this stuff being asked to share, like, oh my God, like, for the first, how long ago did you ask me to share? I mean, it's like, man, just ask me the day of, please, It was like, because I went for like maybe a week, just all of, how wonderful it was going to be, it's just, and imagining all the wonderful things I'm going to say, and everybody's going to be touched and heartfelt, and how it's going to go, and how I'm going to enter the room, and what I'm going to wear, but here's the thing, I haven't been to this meeting yet. I don't even know what the church looked like or where I was going to park, and then I felt really good, like, oh, this is going to be, no worries, I'm not nervous at all, And then Sharm sent me the text today at like 3 or 4, and I was like, well, that's awful. This sounds horrible. I just want to stay at home, and I don't want to go at all, But then, I went and I did some. Me and my friend Evan back there, we reviewed step 6 today, and we were reading about step 6, and it was talking about this principle of honesty and sharing with others, and the notion of reality. And creative action of the Spirit, and how sharing is so powerful because sharing grounds me in the reality of who I am. And sharing honestly with another addict, it allows me to see my reflection in other people about who I am. And then when I do that on a large scale, one-on-one is where the heart of NA beats, but then when I do that multiplied, it's like, this is who I am, you know what I mean? I'm grounded in my reality, and for addicts, for myself as an addict, my reality is not always pretty. Reality, for me, when I talk about reality, I'm talking about something that is based in fact, the way something is, as opposed to a notion or an idea of something. And what I've learned from the 12-step process of NA is that my reality that's based in something that is the result of actions taken, applied principle, that then create the reality that I live in. And so we're reviewing this step 6 and about how I need that interaction with other addicts, because once I have the reality of who I am, then I'm able to know who I don't want to be. I'm able to, and that's one of the paradoxes in NA. I love our paradoxes, because paradoxes, surrender to win, is the place, the two things that don't make sense together. And because they don't make sense together, that's kind of where spirit is, because it's the thing that I can't explain. It's beyond my comprehension. It's a power greater than myself. And the paradox here was, the more that I love myself, the more that I want to be different. The more gratitude I have for who I am, the more I want to change and become better. And then when I'm asked to, every time I'm asked to do a speaker engagement, that's what happens to me. I come up in front of all these people, and whatever comes up comes out. I can think about it as much as I want to, and I can plan it out as much as I want to. But the bottom line is, when you're up here, I'm gonna really be grounded in who I am, and I'm gonna see people that I can't hide from, who know me. I have relationships around here, and you've seen me be me, and that's not always good, and but sometimes it is, it's good, but I'm better, and then am I at time already? Okay. Oh man, and so anyway, I'm really grateful to be here, and it's really good to see Vi. I love you, Vi. And Vi and I have done this before together. I don't know if y'all knew that, but we've spoke together before. And this is the thing, man. It's kind of ironic. You're like, oh, you're speaking with Vi. I was like, oh, I speak with Vi. That's not kind of how it goes, And so it's really good. It's really good to see you again, Vi. And. Yeah. I just appreciate our time together, and those breakfasts that we used to have. I'd like to do that again soon, And then, I'm in a really solid career today, and that career started. There was a job opening, and I was at a meeting down at the county building, and people were like, "You should apply for this job." And Vi was there, and she was like, spoke life into me to apply for that job, and I'm still at that job years later, And, so we're not drunk or dead yet, We're still here, That was something I actually learned from my sponsor. He used to say it all the time. It's like freaking really dark, actually. He was like, I'd be like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow, and he'd be like, well, if I'm not drunk or dead, like, geez, but that makes sense, just for today, And then when I was early on at my job, and I was like trying to relate to non-addicts, and I was talking to non-addicts, and my former boss, one time she was like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow, Beau. And I was like, hey, if I'm not drunk or dead. she was like, are you okay? Why on earth would you be drunk or dead by tomorrow, And then here's the messed up part. I know I'm not alone in thinking this, but I'm like, I'm only drunk tomorrow, I could be like, strung out by tomorrow, or OD'd by tomorrow, It's really, it is really a life and death thing around here, but, we have to laugh about it a little bit, because where else are we going to laugh about it, But I get it when I say, hey, if I'm not drunk or dead tomorrow, I'll be here, that makes sense to us, And, God, yeah, and we're still here, we're still here, Vi. I feel so good. I feel good about my life. I feel good about myself, And 28 years. I don't know if you mentioned that, but 28 years is really inspiring, Did you get clean when you were 12? You look really good for your age. You look really good, and I look really good too for my age. I do. It's like. Yeah, I mean, it's something about long-term heroin use, that just like just puts you into stasis. You don't grow. Spiritually, emotionally, or physically. You know what I mean? And my best friend, man, we got clean together, my best friend, and then I swear to God, we got out of detox, and it was like he had 30 days, and like all of a sudden it was like poof, his hair was gray. It's like he's Gandalf, you know what I mean? Like he just like and he went up to get his 30-day chip, and he's like, fuck, how long have you been clean? He's like 30 days, It was like, man, dude, like it was just weird. But we both look good, and then him, of course, he's like covered in tattoos and scars, and now he has a great full head of hair, and just all the women loved him, And I loved him too, he's a good-looking guy, But yeah, I mean, we look good for age, I'm 10 years old, and so I don't know, I'm either like a almost 40-year-old that looks 10, or I'm a really old-looking 10-year-old. Good Benjamin Buttons, and really like a grown man baby, It's like that's how I should introduce myself in meetings. Like, hey, my name's Beau. I'm a grown man baby. I mean, what is it like? Even like, I don't even understand like the concept of being a man. I mean, what is that? What is it? It's just fucking confusing, I'm grateful for step 6 and 7 because it's like that's like I mean, talk about like curing toxic masculinity. It's like you either have to be humble or be humiliated. You know what I mean? and then I'm involved in a program where people know me. And I'm vulnerable. And the thing about vulnerability is the definition is being open for attack. So the implication, the assumption, if I'm open for attack, it means the attack is coming, And if I'm involved in Narcotics Anonymous, people are definitely going to say what they have to say about my behaviors, And then it's up to me to have the willingness to be like, oh, do I want to like be honest about that thing, or do I want to, wear myself out over all the weird lies and manipulations and rationalizations, And then you just get to a point where you're like, I just don't fucking have the energy for that, And yeah. So I'm a really, I am a really old 10-year-old, And yeah, there was a guy that always used to come to my home group, and I haven't seen him for a while, but we used to call him Babyface. That was like one of those NA nicknames that we had, Babyface, And he'd always take the most ridiculous selfies, you know what I mean? Like, just the newcomer he would take newcomer selfies, like just really like duck lips, perfect filter, just the most beautiful newcomer selfies, you know what I mean? And then, no, but I mean, our predecessors too, when our predecessors have the best selfies too, it's like, it's like they just discovered the camera was on the phone like just now in this moment, and then they just click it and then post it, They're like looking down at it like this, or like up like this, It's like, oh, there's a phone here, boom. And it's like, but I mean, that our literature says, our predecessors are often really eccentric, but we love them anyway, And that's always something that's really, I've admired, but it's always really confused me because people with time they just don't care about what people think of them. They just love themselves so much. It doesn't even fucking matter, the fucking selfie. Who cares, I just want people to know I'm on Facebook, But me, like I'm ridiculous with selfies, And I really don't post as much as I do, or I used to. But when I do, it's the best post you have ever seen. I mean, it's really gold content, you know what I mean? And like, and the crazy thing is too, I'll spend like 4 hours on one post, right? This is why I don't do it as much as I used to. I'll spend 4 hours on one selfie, and then everything's right. The lighting, the filter, the song that goes with it, all of the hashtags. I have to have all of the hashtags that are exactly right, And then I post it like that, like, oh my God, I'm going to get so many likes, really just my best friend Jason likes it. That's it, just get one like, But like, it's like so many people are going to like this post, And then I wake up the next day and I see the post and I'm like, you are the ugliest. That is just the most horrible post. You are so ugly. What were you thinking, But, so now, I guess now we're getting into it, That's now we're getting into the nature of my addiction, you know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff that I have to deal with on a daily basis that I really try to heal from, And, so my home group is the Here and Now group of Narcotics Anonymous. We meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 p.m. And I was really relating to what Bai was saying about being homeless. It's like, oh man, I love my home group. That group has been meeting since like 1982 or 3. There's some predecessors in here that probably could correct me on the year, and I've just always loved that group. We really need a lot of support. I'm Wednesday night secretary still after all these years, and I'm there Wednesday. Sometimes it's only me, But at this point in time, when Wednesday night rolls around, I like to go there. And so I do it, And I open the door, and occasionally a couple guys come. Occasionally it's just me. But I'm really grateful when people do show up, and we have a meeting of NA, And and it's the same feeling that I have when coming here tonight and seeing all these people I know and giving hugs and seeing people I haven't seen for a while, and it's just that it's a good feeling, And I think that's the purpose of being here, is to have that good feeling that I can't really explain fully, And but I feel it when I'm in a space, and. I'm real loci focused. I believe in the genius loci, and it's an old Latin term for the protective spirit of a place, and I never really understood what that meant, in one of the languages there's 2 different words for God. The first one is Blidakni, that means God. That's like the God that people come and pray to, and and then there's another word, Gemakums, and that means like that the translation of that word is old one. It talks about old one, the old one, the spirit of like kind of everything that is, and I didn't really, I had no idea of those concepts, before I got clean. Guess where the first place that I felt the protective spirit of anything was? It was in my home group. It was in NA. At that time it was a little Alano club on the coast, and it wasn't NA because they didn't have NA there. It was a bunch of crusty old racist fishermen and loggers, But I felt safe there. Basically, that's how desperate I was, That's how truly desperate I was, And I really felt safe there. And then I began to understand my connection to myself and to my place around me, And then I really, I understood I'm from Portland. I'm born and raised in Portland. I grew up in inner Northeast. Went to Jeff for a year. Went to Wilson, then went to jail. and I love being from Portland. And then in that, because that first Here Now at the time was on 13th and Clay, right in the heart of Portland, and that was my home group, and then from that I realized, okay, I'm Here Now is my home group, and I understood I'm from Portland. I love being from Portland. My family's from Portland, I have a family, my friends are in Portland, and then because my whole life before that, all I wanted to do was escape. I just wanted to escape Portland. The first drug I ever used in my life was fantasy. And it was before I even knew what drugs were. I would do anything just to not be me. The very people who were supposed to show me that protective spirit were the ones hurting me. And I just would do everything, man. I would, put the baseball bat to my head and like run around in circles till I was nauseous, or I would hold my breath, or like when it would get really bad, I would bang my head on the wall and I'd be like, what's wrong with this kid? It's like, I just don't want to be me, And and then later on I would just smoke crack or shoot dope, and Yeah. So, anyways, I love being from Portland now. I love Portland area meetings too, and being a part of Portland area, and then in that I love being from Oregon. My mom comes from a little town called Chiloquin, way south. She moved up here when she was 12, and I realized I grew up in Oregon, and I feel comfortable anywhere along the I-5 corridor. That's like my home, man. Oregon. I'm an Oregon boy. I love being from Oregon. And then I surf. I like to surf a lot. I like being in the ocean. I like swimming in the ocean. Surfing is my thing. That was one thing NA gave back to me. I realized, oh man, anywhere along the ocean, I-5 all the way from Mexico to Canada, I feel home. That's where I feel connected. Feel my heart and being in the ocean. And I realized, like, oh man, anywhere in the world where there's ocean, I feel home. If I'm traveling anywhere in the world, I can go to the ocean, I can feel home, like that. And then I realized, oh man, anywhere there's an ocean, and anywhere in the world, there's also a meeting of NA. And then I can go to a meeting of NA and then be like, oh man, I feel home. I feel good here. And then every time I'm in a meeting of NA anywhere in the world, I say, I say, hey, my home group is here now, and y'all can come anytime you want, and we meet, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 p.m., and I'm really grateful for that, and so the thing about feeling at home and feeling safe enough was that when I got clean, the only thing I had was one pair of dirty dickies and an armful of track marks. And I'd spent years and years and years just causing so much wreckage I couldn't even comprehend it all, And then finally I got to a point where I would use to shut my head off, but my head wouldn't shut off. And the one thing that had been working for a long time didn't work. And then the fear set in, and I was scared, and then I went back to jail, and I was being indicted on my third felony, but I only ended up being convicted of 2 in my lifetime. But and then I was sitting in jail, and a sheriff worked for Close Street at the time. I don't know if that program's still around, the Close Street Sheriff's Program. He recognized my last name on the jail roster, and he used to play ball with my older brother. And so he went to jail, and he said, he visited me at Inverness, and he said, what's going on with you? You come from a good family. It was my adopted family, but hey, it's a good family, And I said, I don't fucking know. Like, this is just me, And then he said, okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to pick you up, and I'm going to check you out of jail. I'm going to drive you to treatment. So he said to me, I was like, fuck, okay. And then he drove me all the way to the Oregon coast to a treatment center. And in handcuffs, and dropped me off there, and then I went to a meeting, and I felt safe. I felt safe. First time in a long time, I felt safe. That's why I don't get mad at people when they fall asleep in meetings. I'm like, hey, just keep coming back, because where I come from, you don't fall asleep around people. You know what I mean? And so if you come into a meeting and you feel safe enough to fall asleep, go for it. Get some rest. Take a deep breath. And that was that feeling I got in my heart, and then, and that was my first encounter with a power greater than myself, because that was stuff happening. Him recognizing my name, driving me all the way to this treatment center, vouching for me like that, me finding a home group and meeting my first sponsor there in this place that wasn't even Portland. All of that was beyond my comprehension. A lot of times non-addicts, they'll ask me, how did you get clean? Like, what? How did you just stop using drugs? It's like, and I was like, I don't know. And people who are, it's like, oh, well, I went to meetings every day, and I worked the 12 steps, and I took a fearless and searching moral inventory of myself, and they non-addicts, their faces just go blank, when I say that kind of stuff, and so most of the time I just say, oh, this is kind of just a miracle, and I'm grateful for it, and then that feeling of safety really inspired me to kind of like dare to change, to love. Because that was the problem. That's why my growth was stunted for so many years, because I was in fear. And then as soon as I felt safe, I was like, oh man, like I could actually try something new. you know? And I can be honest about myself and then through another person's reaction to my honesty, you know, because it's like, hey, this is me. And some people are like, hey, you know, that's great. And some people are like, hey, fuck off, you know, and through my honesty with myself, I could see I could see the effect I had in my life on others. And that, you know, that's the one, you know, 5 years clean and just really destroyed about the effect my behavior had on others, you know. And you just get to a point where it's like, well, you know, either I'm going to get high because this does not feel good, or I'm going to ask for help again. And so, you know, one day at a time, I learned how to live without the use of drugs and alcohol through the 12 steps. And I participate in my recovery, and I developed an understanding to a power greater than myself, and I participated in my culture, and I surf, you know, and life kind of started to happen, you know, and then, you know, it says here we have learned to value the respect of others. I care about being a good person, you know, and you do the stuff and you get the thing. You know, and we are pleased when people depend on us. For the first time in our lives, we may be asked to serve in positions of responsibility in community organizations outside of NA. Our opinions are sought and valued by non-addicts in areas other than addiction and recovery. You know, I'm a productive person, and people like what I have to say, and I contribute something to this world. You know, and I encourage people to go up and ask other addicts when you're in the meeting what they do. You know, a lot of us are really powerful agents of change, and we're doing really big things in our community outside of NA. But, you know, we live by a set of spiritual principles, so we won't necessarily talk about that. You know, we won't talk about it. So I encourage people to go ask your fellow addicts, you know, what do you do for a living? You know, you'll be really surprised what you hear, you know. And we offer hope, for we know that a better way of life is now real for us, and we give love because it was given so freely to us. New frontiers are open to us as we learn how to love. Love can be the flow of life energy from one person to another. By caring, sharing, and praying for others, we become a part of them. Through empathy, we allow addicts to become a part of us. As we do this, we undergo a vital spiritual experience, and we are changed. So this safety that I felt in order to take a risk, you know, this was really, I really think about reality a lot, and the thought of something that actually is based in fact as opposed to a notion, you know, and the way that my reality changed as I stepped into my first step experience in NA. And it's really mind-blowing when you think about it, because one day I was strung out and I was sitting in jail and I was hopeless, desperate, and I wanted to die. Full-blown withdrawals from like 150 milligrams of methadone, alcohol, heroin, Xanax, and cocaine. You know, I don't care what it is. You know, it's like, and then all of a sudden, I wasn't. My clean date is March 1st of 2013, and it was like that was my life. That was my life, my whole life. Fear and desperation. And then all of a sudden, that wasn't my life. And it's never been my life since, right? It's like I just stepped into a new ribbon of time. I stepped into this new reality. And then I'm not saying what your reality has to be. What I'm saying is that I did something. I took an action, a creative action of my spirit, and then the result of that thing created my reality. And then we all have different realities for us, you know. In step 5, I'm pretty sure, let's see, in step 5 it says we begin to experience real personal feelings of a spiritual nature, where once we had spiritual theories, we now begin to awake to a spiritual reality. You know, and this is like the spiritual experience of change and becoming someone new. And it's the result of doing something good for myself, you know. And so that's, you know, I really just, you know, if I had a message at all, it'd be simply just do something good. I love seeing addicts do something good for themselves. You know, I love seeing you travel, Roger. It's fucking cool, man. Addicts with a passport traveling the world, man. You know, I got to like that post. I mean, talk about gold content, you know. It's like, those posts are awesome, man. And, you know, I'm a convicted felon and I have a passport, just letting y'all know, you know. And I just want to encourage folks to do something good for yourself. You know, for me, I like to work the steps. For me, I like to ask for help. You know, I like to participate in my recovery with another fellow addict. I still do that. I like to be of service to my home group. I also like to do a lot of other stuff. I eat good. I drink water. You know, I do a lot of other really good things for my life, you know, and it makes me feel good. You know, I've experienced the results of doing something good for myself, and all along what I found was the feeling that I was trying to find in the drug for so many years. And, you know, and then I just do something good for you. Do something good for yourself, you know, and then we'll experience the result of what you did that was good in this kind of reality that is Narcotics Anonymous. You know, this new reality, this new way of life that we have, like that. You know, and then you know, I'm just saying do something good. You know, and that's what makes NA so fucking exciting. Excuse my language. That's what makes NA so exciting. You know, I know it's like Jesus. That's what makes NA so exciting. Is because my perception of what is good for me is not yours all the time. You know, and it's like, I'll be like, hey man, do something good for yourself. And then you would be surprised what addicts think is good for themselves. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, do something good for yourself. And they're like, whoa, I did this. I'm like, whoa, I wouldn't do that, you know, but whoa, what happened, you know? How did that go for you, you know? It's like, when I got clean, it was like, do something good for yourself. I was like, yes, I'm going to have 3 girlfriends, you know? It's like, whoa. You know, that's like not good for myself and not good for the people around me, you know? But then I'm gonna come to a meeting and share about it, and somebody's gonna be like, "You're full of crap," you know? Like it's like, "Oh man, that feels bad," you know? And then I'm gonna be like, "Okay, I'm gonna try to do something different, good for myself." You know, what did you do? And I was like, "Well, I learned to love myself before I loved other people," you know? So you know, just I love doing good stuff for myself, you know. And I think I'm at time, right? I'm getting there. A spiritual awakening is an ongoing process. We experience a wider view of reality and we grow spiritually. An opening of our minds to a new spiritual and physical experiences is the key to better awareness. So this is really important for me. This is in Morally Real because it connects right there. It connects the spiritual experience with physical action. Physical, you know, I'm actually doing something good for myself. I have a good thought for myself, you know, and everybody in here, you know, you have a good thought for yourself to come to a meeting, you know. And then the trick is you have the good thought for yourself, and then I have to do the action which makes it a reality, you know, because then I'm doing the reality and it becomes a thing that is, and not just a thing that I thought about. And then watch, if you do that, you'll start to see the healing in your community. You'll start to see the healing in yourself. You'll start to acknowledge your own recovery process, and you'll see the recovery process of others. And just as the disease of addiction destroyed my community, destroyed my family,